Imagine waking up tomorrow, and every book on Earth has disappeared. Every street sign, every text message, every email, every recipe, every law, every map, every history book, every scientific discovery. Gone. Not because people forgot them, because no one ever invented writing. For almost all of human history, this wasn't a nightmare. It was reality. Humans lived for nearly 300,000 years without writing a single word. They hunted, raised children, built friendships, created music, painted breathtaking art deep inside caves, crossed continents, and somehow they remembered everything that mattered. So why did humans eventually invent writing? The answer isn't because our ancestors suddenly became smarter. It's because one day, memory stopped being enough. Imagine living in a small hunter-gatherer band 40,000 years ago. Your entire world consists of perhaps 30 or 40 people. Everyone knows everyone else. You know who found the honey yesterday, who owes someone a favor, which family gathered the berries, who tells the best stories around the fire. Nothing needs to be written down. If someone forgets something, 10 other people remember. Knowledge lives inside human minds. Around the fire each evening, children listen to the same stories their grandparents once heard. They learn where dangerous animals hunt, which plants are poisonous, how to shape a spear. When the rains usually arrive, story after story, generation after generation, the human brain becomes the world's first library. And for thousands of centuries, it works surprisingly well. Then everything changes. Around 12,000 years ago, humans begin settling in permanent villages. Agriculture spreads. For the first time, food can be stored instead of immediately eaten. Harvests become larger. Families become larger. Villages become towns. Towns become cities. Suddenly, you're no longer living among 30 familiar faces. You're surrounded by thousands of strangers. And strangers create a problem memory was never designed to solve. Imagine you're a farmer in ancient Mesopotamia. You harvest hundreds of baskets of grain. Some belong to you. Some belong to the temple. Some will be traded. Some must be saved for next year. Who keeps track? Yesterday, remembering one family was easy. Now you're trying to remember thousands of sacks of grain moving through an entire city. Memory begins to fail. Not because humans became forgetful, because civilization became too complicated. Something had to change. For years, archaeologists wondered whether writing began with stories, poetry, religion, ancient kings celebrating their victories. The evidence tells a much less glamorous story. Writing probably began with accounting. Some of the earliest discoveries aren't books, they're records. Tiny clay tablets covered with simple marks, lists of sheep, measurements of grain, inventories, taxes, receipts. The world's first writing wasn't literature, it was paperwork. Imagine receiving 10 sheep from your neighbor. Instead of trusting memory, someone presses symbols into wet clay. 10 sheep. Delivered today. Everyone agrees. No arguments later. A simple idea, yet one that transforms history. But humans didn't invent writing overnight. Like almost every great invention, it evolved step by step. At first came clay tokens, small objects representing goods. One shape meant sheep, another meant grain, another meant oil. Instead of remembering everything, people carried tiny symbols. Then someone had an even better idea. Why carry the objects when you can simply draw them? The token becomes a picture. The picture becomes a symbol. And suddenly, information no longer depends on physical objects. It depends on marks. Those marks slowly become more abstract. A drawing of a fish eventually becomes a simple sign meaning fish. Then it means food. Then perhaps abundance. The picture stops looking like the object itself. It becomes an idea. Writing is no longer drawing, it's language. Around the same time, another civilization reaches a remarkably similar solution. Along the Nile River, Egyptian scribes begin carving hieroglyphs into stone. Beautiful birds, eyes, hands, animals. At first glance, they look like artwork, but each symbol carries meaning. Some represent entire words, others represent sounds. Together, they allow language itself to survive long after the speaker has disappeared. For the first time in history, A person could communicate with someone they would never meet, even someone living centuries in the future. Think about how extraordinary that is. Before writing, every idea died with the people who remembered it. After writing, ideas became immortal. Knowledge no longer depended on memory alone. One generation could build directly upon the discoveries of the last. A farmer records better irrigation methods. A builder records stronger construction techniques. A healer records useful medicinal plants. Knowledge begins accumulating instead of constantly starting over. Civilization accelerates. Then comes another breakthrough. Sound. Early writing often represented whole words or ideas. But eventually, humans discovered something even more powerful. Instead of inventing thousands of symbols, why not write the sounds that make up words? A small collection of symbols could create almost any sentence imaginable. This idea eventually leads to alphabets. Suddenly, writing becomes dramatically easier to learn. Instead of memorizing hundreds of symbols, people memorize a few dozen letters. The barrier separating memory from communication collapses. Books become possible. Education expands. Ideas spread farther than ever before. Yet something fascinating never disappeared. Storytelling. Even after writing arrived, humans continued gathering to tell stories aloud. Parents still read to children. Teachers still explain ideas using narratives. Friends still sit together sharing memories. Writing didn't replace speech, it preserved it. Today, we rarely stop to appreciate how completely writing shapes our lives. Every scientific discovery, every legal system, every engineering blueprint, every novel, every medical textbook, every message you send, every search you make, all trace their origins back to a simple problem faced thousands of years ago. Human memory had reached its limit. The remarkable thing is that writing wasn't invented by poets searching for beauty, or philosophers searching for truth, or kings searching for glory. It was invented because someone needed to count grain accurately, because civilization became too complicated to fit inside a human mind. The greatest communication revolution in history may have started with bookkeeping. And perhaps that's the strangest part of all. One of humanity's most extraordinary inventions wasn't created to tell unforgettable stories. It was created because someone was tired of forgetting how many sheep they owned. Everything else, libraries, universities, science, history, the internet, even the words you're hearing right now grew from that single idea. The moment humans realized memory had limits and decided to give their thoughts a place to live outside the human mind.